Hey, Robo, you there? Waiting for Robo to join. Okay. Hey, Robo, you there?
Yes, yes, it's working.
All right, all right.
Cool. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy
Yeah,
to do
man.
this interview, man. It's
It's all
so
good.
great.
So what's
So,
up, man?
so yeah, here in Germany, it's actually okay with the coronavirus, you know.
Uh,
But of course, it's only two persons, two people can go together out, or when you have a family, as a family, you can go out, but not
uh,
connect with many people together on the streets, right?
okay. And it's
So
kind of the
you're,
same out here, though.
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's kind
you're
of the
from
same out here.
you are in San Francisco, right?
Well, I'm not in San Francisco. I'm in the East Bay right now, but I was born and raised in San Francisco, right? And
Oh,
so,
okay, okay, okay.
right, but the streets out there, man, it's kind of like a ghost town a little bit, especially like downtown market area. Yeah,
Wow. So yeah, in
yeah.
Germany the same. The big city like Berlin, same. Super quiet, ghost town style.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
going to the grocery store, man, I hate waiting in lines, man. So I go to the grocery store and I see them standing outside in the line. I'm like, I'm good. So I go somewhere else where it's no line, man. I can't be standing out in the line like that,
Hey, same
you
here,
know?
same here, same here. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I hope this gonna finish soon. This is the thing. I hope because the
yeah,
States, you really go high with the numbers of people that are infected. It's crazy.
yeah. And it
And
seemed
this,
like the
yeah.
numbers are just going up and up, and they're not. It could be more than that because, as of a couple of weeks ago, they didn't have enough tests, and I think test kits, right?
Yeah.
And I think they still don't have enough. So we don't know who else has the virus. So
Yeah, yeah,
you don't
yeah,
know how
yeah.
many people actually have it. So, you know,
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is so crazy because I have to see my parents now, I think 4 weeks. Yeah, no, it's 4 weeks. And my parents are
hmm
over 70. And the thing is, I'm afraid because maybe I have the virus in me for a little part of my body. So I don't know because it didn't, that's the thing. You don't know. You're feeling healthy, but you have the virus in you, you know. This is the crazy
yeah,
part of this thing.
I just feel if you don't really have the symptoms, man, I mean, you should be okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
We still trying to figure out, the dynamics of it.
Yeah, but in Germany
But
they find people because they didn't have really the symptoms, but they
uh,
went like, okay, I have a little throat here, it's aching a little bit, but not really bad. Like just checking, and then they see, oh, he have the virus, but it didn't explode, right? It didn't.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, man, I'm just trying to stay safe. Me and my fam, man, just
yeah,
trying to stay safe and be as
stay
productive
healthy.
as we can throughout this.
It's exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so
So
that's what's up, man.
let's start the questions, right?
Yeah.
So so when did you start to dance, and when did you start to have strutting, to learn strutting?
Um, okay, well, I first started dancing, man, in the early 70s, man. My first experience on stage was at my church, right? But prior
Oh,
to that,
okay.
man, when I was a little kid, I was just really intrigued by sci-fi movies, right? Where they have the robots and stuff in the sci-fi movies,
Yeah,
cartoons and stuff like that. So I would see all that animation, like Seven Voices of Sinbad and stuff like that. And I would try to mimic what they
yeah,
were doing. But then I started mimicking it to music. I started putting music to it, right? And so
yeah.
that's how I kind of got into the dance. But it wasn't until 1972 where I really got into the dancing at my church. So, at my church they had these talent shows, right? And at the talent shows, well, for the talent shows, they would have different age groups and stuff like that you would put on a get together and put on a dance skit and go on stage, right?
Yeah.
So we did this dance skit, we put it together and went on stage. So I happened to walk on first, right? So I'm thinking everybody behind me. So I walk on first, man, and the music started, and I looked to my left. Nobody was on stage but me, by myself.
Oh, okay.
They started the music, and I started dancing. And when I finished dancing, I was just like in my zone. So I wasn't even looking at the audience. I was just in my zone. And when I finished, I had a standing ovation. I looked up and I had a standing ovation. And that's all she wrote, man.
And how old you was there?
Man, I was 72. I was young, man. I was, shoot, how old was I, man? I don't know, maybe 7, 8, something like that. I was young.
Wow. Okay. So.
And that was my first experience, man. And the song that I danced to, and it was a band playing. Because back then it was, it was a lot about the bands, not so much the record. It was about the band. So the band started, they was playing, thank you for letting me be myself by Sly and the Family Stone. And that's yeah. And that's all she wrote after that, man.
So
yeah.
So you didn't had experience, or like you didn't see somebody dancing already.
Well, yeah. See, here's the thing. And this is the part I left out. It was this group in my church, right? Called Black Velvet. They were called Black Velvet. Yeah. And then the guy, Charles Marshall, he was the leader of that group. And I used to see them get down all the time. I wanted to be in the group, but I was, I was too young, but I could still hang with them, but I was too young. But Charles Marshall, what he did is he took me under his wing and he started teaching me, how to hit hard. Pow, pow. He started teaching me how to hit and, how to move. And so that was my first experience. And he was the first person that really, taught me how to get down, that inspired me to get down as well.
Wow. So then you was like a teenager and he showed you or even younger.
No, I was still a kid at that time. Wow, I was still a kid. This was early 70s.
Wow.
This was early 70s, man. And after that, that's all she wrote. I used to see them step and stuff like that. And during that time, it wasn't called strutting, it was called the robot or stepping.
Yes,
right?
I heard the term stepping because here in my hometown in Kassel, it's a small town, was a US citizen. He came here. I think he had his wife here and family. His name is Jimmy, and he talked about strutting and stepping too. But then I just saw him twice in my life. He was popping or strutting on the street, on the basketball court here in Germany. And then I was like, oh, I popped too. And then he talked about it a little bit. And I saw him twice and he talked, and I didn't connect so much with him. So yes, I heard about stepping. Can you go a little bit into the stepping term?
Well, the stepping term, man, I know you recall, like Motown and Charlie Atkins and stuff like that, and the Jackson 5 used to step. The Temptations, they were steppers,
Okay, this is stepping when they do in the group, right? The group routines, all the steps, yes.
And ROTC, that's a form of stepping as well, ROTC with the guns and stuff like that, with the when they swing the guns and do all that stuff, and we used to use canes.
Sure.
Right. We used to use canes and do that too. All the, stepping with the canes and stuff like that. We used to do that too,
Yes, I know.
So during that time, man, and see, like I said, before then, during that time, we were stepping in the robot and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like the mid 70s that the term strutting was applied to this dance. And it was applied to this dance it was applied to this dance to a group called Granny and the Robotroids.
Yes,
Granny and the
yes, I know.
Robotroids was
Yes.
pretty much the first strutting group out of San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they started it, right?
Yeah,
They
they
started.
the name strutting was attached to them. That was considered the first strutting group. You know, Black
Oh,
Velvet was, you know, a little older group. They was a little bit before, and they was in the church. So a lot of people, you know, unless they were a lot older, they didn't really know about Black Velvet because they was a group that danced in the church, and they did some outside performances and stuff, but it was mainly in the church. And you got some old heads from Fillmore. They'll remember Black Velvet. They'll remember Charles Marshall,
okay.
you know, his brother, you know, Johnny Cobb. Who else was in the group? Johnny Cobb's brother. I can't think of his name, man.
Okay.
But yeah, they was dope though.
And so you was like you was like a teenager, and when did you start to make a group, a crew to do something?
Well, my first crew, and we wasn't really a crew, but my first crew was in elementary school, man, and I forgot what we were called, but you know, every day at recess we would go out and step. We go out and, you know, do some stepping in, some movement and stuff like that. But later in the 70s, you know, I had a group called the Symbolical Soldiers, right? We would
Symbolical
call it
soldiers. Okay.
Symbolical Soldiers. Yeah, it was myself, my partner Cleo, also known as Justice Supreme, my cousin Fat Rat, Cleo's nephew Scatter, and a cat named Avery. We opened up
Okay.
for a show in like '79 at the Kabuki Theater. Right?
Wow.
It was and like some of
So
the major groups was there, man.
so one question is, before it wasn't so much battling in this stepping and strutting. It was more a show dance, right?
It was more of a show dance. Let me just put it to you like this, man. During those
Yeah.
days, you know, it was all about the talent shows. So the talent shows were like our concerts, you know? And so it was more so. Now, don't get me wrong. You had solo cats that could battle and eat you up. But
Ah,
the way we thought back then was, okay, you a dope solo cat. So you know, if a group was already formed, they would try to recruit you in their group. And a lot of the solo cats would form groups and get other solo cats in. So, you know, our thing was you have all this talent in one group, all these cats that can solo, and they're doing a routine. So when you go see the show, you get a whole performance of group stepping and routine, and then you got each person coming out doing a solo. So you got a
yeah,
full show. And
yeah,
back then, everybody looked pretty much different. You didn't have a lot of dancers that looked the same. They look different. So you getting, you know, 4 or 5 different elements in one show with the routine, the stage show concept, and each person doing a solo.
how
You know?
important how important was in the mid 70s, or yeah, end of the 70s, to be, you know, to be different as others?
Well, in San Francisco, man, it was all about us being different.
Yeah,
You know, having the tightest costumes, you know, the tightest songs. And what we used to do, man, we would take let's say we had a record that nobody heard of, right?
mm,
So what
mm,
we would do is we take tape and put on the record, so couldn't
mm.
nobody see what record you was dancing off of. Because we'd have to
Oh,
bring the
okay.
record to the talent show for them to play it, right? We didn't want nobody to know what we was dancing off of, so that's what we used to do. So, but it
Wow,
was important to be creative and not look the same as the next cat or the next group, you know? Now,
wow.
during those times, you had a lot of groups, man. You had a lot of groups back in the 70s and 80s that was, you know, getting down. You know,
So
go ahead.
yeah, so there is a, because it's more in the Bay Area, right? This is very Bay Area style, or is it more bigger than in California, or also outside of California?
Well, during that time, man, it was pretty much a Bay Area thing, man. We had some of the best talent shows. You know, Richmond gave some of the best talent shows. Richmond, California, at the Richmond Auditorium. You know, talent shows at Ben Franklin Junior High School, the Boys Y, the Girls Y, Booker T. Washington. You know, and the list goes on. It was a lot of areas, you know, a lot of places where we had talent shows, and you know, people came to watch us get down, man, and it was just a beautiful thing for us to be a part of that during that time.
Wow.
You know?
So, and after your soldier crew, when it does it, and what was the next crew?
So during that time, so let me back up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so during that time, like I said, in the mid '70s, it was Granny and the Robotroids. But then you had other groups. You had Granny and the Robotroids. You had Monty and the Mechanical Midgets, Live Incorporated, the Diabolical Soldiers, the Electroids. You had Aliens, Fantastic Four, the Mighty Mechanics. Of course, you know, Demons of the Mind was a group that I was in. Baby Funk and the Funkanauts. I mean, the list go on. Little Incorporated, the Star Strutters, Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind. Man, the Neutrons, Magic Mind of the Funkiest Kind, Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch. It was a lot of groups back then, man. And it was all about being different and being creative. You know what I'm saying?
This is interesting that you say Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch, because I talked a few days ago with Coco Pops from LA, and he was talking about this crew that was also very inspiring for LA poppers. Yeah, or
and I think style, you know what, right? I think it was, you know, I think it was another group probably later on called Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch as well, somewhere else, maybe in LA, I don't know, but it was one out here as well.
No, I think maybe he talked about this crew from the Bay, but I don't know now, you know.
Okay.
Wow. So
right,
then because I saw a lot of footage of this groups, because they're online, and I'm like, wow, so many groups, and also and I heard some interviews where they say Demons of the Mind, that this crew is so important for the whole culture, right? So can you tell me a little bit about this time when you were in Demons of the Mind, and what was the, you know, because I think this was a high level crew, right?
Yes. So here's the thing. So, you know, during that time, man, the Demons of the Mind started in 1978. Right, by a guy named Larry McDonald, may he rest in peace. It was started by him and the brothers Melvin and Aaron, A1, we call him A1, and those were the cats that he recruited first. And I mean, I guess he had a few other cats that tried out for the group, but then I got in the group, you know. And so I became the original fourth member at the time, right? And so, but see, we didn't have a name. During that time, we didn't have a name. We were just rehearsing and, you know, trying to get stuff together. I mean, we had routines and stuff like that we was making up. And, you know, Larry and Melvin used to make up the routines back then with the original Demons. So, you know, I was learning the routines and stuff. And then, you know, later on, I want to say around 79-ish, 79, 80-ish or something like that. Remember I just told you earlier about Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind, right?
Yes.
So the leader of that group, his name is Mark Elliott. And Mark Elliott is the one who gave us that name, Demons of the Mind. And what he did, man, this is crazy. We went up to his house one night, and he said, man, come back in a couple of days and I'll have a name for you, right? And we was like, okay, because they at that time, they were like the top group. So we came back and he gave us the name Demons of the Mind. Now, he got that name. I don't know if you remember the TV Guide. Remember the TV Guide? Where you probably don't remember that, but they used to have a little book where you go in and you look for what programs you want to watch, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
he opened up
Oh, a
that
TV guide. Yes.
TV guide, yeah.
Yes, a TV
So he
guide.
opened
Okay,
up the
okay.
TV guide, and it was an old black and white movie called Demons of the Mind. And I think that movie came
Wow.
out in 1970. I think it came out in 1971. He said he opened it up and he just kind of put his finger on a name, and it was Demons of the Mind, and it was featured on a show called Creature Features back in the day.
Okay, wow.
And that's where we got our name from.
So dope name. Super dope name.
Right on. So yeah, man. So we, our goal, because was, like I said, it was Granny and the Robotroys,
Yeah.
Diabolical Soldiers, Close Encounters of the It was all these groups back then, and our thing was to compete, not necessarily compete, but be the best group. And the best groups at that time was Live Incorporated and Close Encounters. And then Close Encounters became the best group. So we looking at Close Encounters like, okay, that's the group that is our competition. That's the group we got to get with. And they was always on a high level. So we practiced and practiced and practiced, man, until, we got on that high level as well. You know what I'm saying? And they were like our mentors. We looked up to those cats. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Of course. Of course. I think this is the most important part, to look up to guys, but you want also to be better than them. So this is the fire. This is how you get the flame inside,
Right. Right.
And when does it start, that okay, wait, because we are now in the 80s. So how was it for the strutting community, for this show community, when hip hop came, like in the early 80s? I mean, like 3 years later, 4 years later, how was it there? Because suddenly I think maybe people start to say, hey, you're a hip hop dancer, because of the media, right? So,
well, nah, at that time, it wasn't that. So mind you, coming out of the 70s, man, we were still on. Here's what you got to understand. Let me back up a little bit and I'll get to that. What you got to understand is that, music changed and times changed, right? From the 70s to the 80s. So in the 70s, you had soul music. The early 70s, you had soul music like James Brown and those type of groups. And then later on, you had the Parliament Funkadelics, and the Ohio Players and those type of groups, right?
Yes.
And between those groups and I say 79, 80, you had, of course, disco and stuff like that. But you also had an up and coming group called Kraftwerk, right?
Yes, it's German.
And they're from Germany.
Yes, they're from Germany.
Right? So it was a group called Kraftwerk, man. And see, back in San Francisco, man, we was always trying to be creative and trying to be the best we could be and just be creative. So we was on this futuristic tip. Now, this is a funk era, but we on a futuristic tip. And the person at that time was George Clinton. He was on that funky futuristic tip.
Yeah.
So that was a futuristicness that we had to look towards. But when Kraftwerk came along, their music was like something we had never heard, electronic, and it had like a funky hip hop kind of beat, but it was just sick. Yeah. So I remember when I heard that record, man, I went crazy. And one of the groups that I saw perform to that group, and this was 1970. I want to say 1970. Let me be correct. I think it was probably 1977 at Ben Franklin Talent Show, right? Close Encounters, man. They had this. See, we was creative now. I'm gonna tell you, we was really creative back then. What we used to do is we would get these refrigerator boxes, cut them up, and make props, make spaceships and stuff out of it, right? And we would put glue all over the box, and we put foil around it, and then we would put we cut out stuff of cardboard boxes and put different elements on it. So Close Encounters did that. They had this little spaceship with antennas on it. Looked like a little, it was crazy, man, and you couldn't see him. And you had this song, We Are the Robots came on.
Yes.
Droop, droop,
Yes.
right? So we didn't see them. And then all of a sudden, it said, droop, tick-a-tick. And they came up and said, droop. They put their heads out and came back, tick-a-tick. And we didn't see them again. It was like, oh, right? And then it came out, and then they came up, bow, boom, boom. Went back down, the other one came up, bow, and they looked separate ways. And then they started creeping out, man. That was like, that was it. Close Encounters came and they killed it. But back to the music. So the music was, you know, like I said, you went from all of those eras of music, and then you had this one little area where you had this electronic music. Now, being that we were on this futuristic tip, we had music to go with the way we looked. Because you know, I used to design all of, you know, from 83 on, I used to design all of Demons of the Mind's costumes, right? And so the idea I was getting was like, okay, it gotta be funky, but it gotta be futuristic. So we had these top hats on with sequins around it, and, you know, we had all this stuff on, you know what I'm saying? And then we came out, man, it's like we were funky futuristic. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And this talent show, like I said, was I think it was like maybe 77, 78, because I know 79 is when they was at the Kabuki Theater. And that's a whole nother thing. When Close Encounters came in 79 at the Kabuki Theater, that's the show that me and my group, the Symbolical Soldiers, we opened up for that group. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay.
Right. So 70 and 70.
So it was more in this Kabuki theater. It was more show. It wasn't a battle or a talent competition, right?
Nah, it wasn't a battle. It was a show competition, right?
Oh,
and so you had all these groups, man. You had Live Incorporated performing. Now we talking about all these #1 groups, right?
Yeah.
You had Live Incorporated perform, The Mysterious Few performed, Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind performed, the Electroids performed. I remember Electroids, they came out with, they had them all black, and they had these yellow stripes down the side of their pants.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that.
I can
so
imagine. Yeah.
It was dope, man. And we had girl groups then, New Explosion, TNT Dynamite. Now, these were girl groups. They would do like the regular social dances and stuff like that, but they also added some strutting in it too. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big talent show. And Close Encounters again. Now, that other show that I was telling you about was in the mid-70s at Ben Franklin, right? This show was at the Kabuki, and they came out cold again, but they came off of a funk record, Sped Up. It was, so, you know, it went from 45 to 30, I mean, from 33 to 45, they sped it up, right?
Wow.
And so they had this big old box that said, I think it said Firehouse, pull down lever and get your ass out the way. Something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
So they had this they had built this firehouse. You didn't see him. And I think my boy Junebug, the song came on. You know how fire came on, called hey, but it has these fire engine sounds in the beginning of it. And I think my boy Junebug pushed the fire engine out in front of the prop. It was a fire engine. And then Close Encounters came out with fire hats on and axes. They had axes like a person would have canes. They had axes and they came out. And they had the song sped up on 45. It was dope. It was dope, man. But when you talk about creativeness, we were creative back then. Yeah. We were really creative back then.
And what was the rule in this dance form? You know, where was the limit? Because you can be creative, but when does it not be any more strutting? When is it something else, you know? Or stepping, you know? Or there were no rules. I don't know.
Well, with us, it was straight strutting, man. That's what we did. That's
Yeah,
what we were doing. We were strutting, cutting up, getting off.
yeah,
Those are some of the names that we used back then.
yeah,
And so, it was. Let me put it to you this, man. It was a beautiful thing growing up in the San Francisco Fillmore district. You know what I'm saying? Which is
mm,
also known as the Western Addition. I wouldn't change it for the world, man, because we had fun back then, man. The way we dressed,
yeah,
everything. It was just, it was amazing just to be a part of that era back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
You
So
know.
there were there were certain steps you learn also back then, but then to flip it or to make something new out of it, right?
Hmm.
Because when I see strutting nowadays, when people strut or learning strutting, they stick to some, like, they have the foundation, but I cannot see sometimes a personality inside. I see, okay, they have the technique, the foundation. I talk about now, like 40 years later, right?
Hmm.
And 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 I love it because, look, one little story from me is when I start dancing in 98, there was a b-boy summit tape, and then you had with Media Circus had a
Hmm.
performance,
Hmm.
and my eyes went out. I was like, okay, when I saw this first time, I was like, okay, what is this? This don't look like the boogie boy thing, because I was a boogie boy from because of hip hop era, and it wasn't
Hmm.
already after this. I was like, okay, this is also not real popping, like popping in a way what I learned. And then
Uh-huh.
I was searching a lot. So this was very, very incredible for me, because all these
Hmm.
routines and these chain reactions and everything, it's so logical and so clean and so hard work. I was like, oh wow. So, and the next thing was, okay, maybe I can learn something by watching only this routine, right? Because here in
Hmm.
Germany we don't have strutters, we don't have anybody to show us strutting. and
Right.
and I create some things, and I was thinking also to make it different. But then I learned, wow, this is a dance with a foundation and long
Hmm.
time history. So where is a border to be a strutter, but to put new things or your spices inside? So
Well, see, that's
yeah,
all up to the individual, you
uh-huh,
know. But here's the thing. If you're gonna learn strutting, if you talk to some of the original strutters, it's a feeling, and we were all there. You understand what I'm saying? So it's almost like I can look at somebody do something, and I can mimic what they were doing, what they're doing, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna have that foundation and that feel of the art form that they was basically what they basically grew up in. So we
yeah,
grew up in this. So it was
yeah,
just a feeling to us. Because see, even back then, we didn't say 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2. We rehearsed and did our routines off of feel. You know
wow,
what I'm saying? So
wow,
it's a feeling
yes,
side by side. Bow, bow, boom, boom, wow. And we make a lot of
yes.
noises with our mouths when, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
but this is the
it's
energy,
a
right?
feeling,
Yeah,
right? So, what I say for the new strutters today, they just have to learn from, some of the originals so they can learn that feel, and they could teach them that feel, because we can all just do moves. I could do a move right now, boom,
yeah,
boom, and I'm just doing the move. But if you from where we from and you hitting like we hit, it's pow, pow, boom, boom, whop, whop, boom, bam, boom. It's a feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I would just say, learn from the people who was
Yes,
there and that
that
was
that,
doing
that
it.
makes sense.
You
Of
know?
course, of course, of course.
Right.
That's it. That's clear. But I mean, like in the beginning of 2000, I didn't have the chance maybe to talk to somebody like you. And look, now I'm dancing 22 years, and now I have the chance to get real informations live, and this is incredible. And so, okay, we stop in the end of the 70s. What happened then when the 80s began? You had then, you start Media Circus, or you have Demons of the
Oh,
Mind
no.
till, yeah.
No, so it was still Demons of the Mind at that point. But let me just
Ah.
go back a little further, that a
Hmm.
lot of people don't know that we all, Demons of the Mind and Demons of the Mind and Media Circus, we all came out of pretty much Live Incorporated, okay? And the reason I
Mm.
say that is this. Ben James was the leader of Live Incorporated. And Ben James recruited Larry McDonald. And so Larry McDonald was in Live Incorporated. So Larry McDonald broke off on his own. I think at the time he was still with Live Incorporated, but he wanted to start his own group. And so Larry broke off and started Demons of the Mind, right? And so this was later on. This was, like I said, 78 is when he started Demons of the Mind. We didn't get a name till around 79, 80, right? And
Wow.
so now during that time, in between that time, he was in Live Incorporated, and I was in my little group called the Symbolical Soldiers, right?
Yeah,
That we
yeah,
performed at the Kabuki Theater in
yeah.
79. So, during that time, after that, we went on to, become Demons in the 80s and stuff like that. In 83, I think 83, Larry left the group. Larry left the group in 83. And so from there, the group kind of fell in my lap. So I kind of became the leader of Demons of the Mind until we broke up in 84. I mean, in 85, right?
Okay.
And then after that, I put the group back together for a quick minute, I think in 89. And during that time, it was myself, Boogaloo Dana, Cleo, AKA Justice Supreme, and A1, Aaron A1, right?
A1.
And
Yes.
A1, yeah. And so we Demons up until then. In 89, we did a few shows. But see, here's the thing. In the mid 80s, I'd say around 85-ish, 86, after the movies Breaking and all those movies came out, it kind of made everybody look at everything as breakdancing. So if you waving, if you strutting, if you popping, whatever you doing, they was calling it breakdancing. We didn't
Wow.
really like that.
Yeah.
They booked us for a show and say, we have some breakdancers coming. And I had to say, no, we're not breakdancers,
Wow.
So during that time, people was kind of getting tired of the dance. They wasn't trying to see that, So then we stopped. But then I started seeing people kind of touch on it in videos and stuff like that. And, I talked to my boy Dana. I said, Dana, we gotta get the group back together. So, we didn't want to come back as Demons of the Mind, because people knew us as Demons of the Mind back then. We want to come back, with a new name. So, we ended up regrouping or whatnot. And it took me forever to convince Dana to get back in it because wasn't nobody really trying to see it, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so we finally did it. We went on tour. We went on tour, and then after we got off tour, I said, man, we got to do our own thing. We went on tour with some rap groups and stuff like that. And so when we got back, I said, man, we got to do our own thing. So I just started designing our costumes and then really started just getting into it. And this was 91, man. And that's when we started a Media Circus. So it went from Live Incorporated with, Larry McDonald starting Demons. And then, me being in Demons, me and Dana actually were in Demons, and then we started Media Circus.
Wow. Wow. Because
Right.
then I saw footage. You're dancing like 3 people in the Apollo Theater, right? It was the Apollo.
Right. In the Apollo Theater,
wow,
yeah.
okay, this is really, it's history, right? It's
Uh-huh.
So how was the feeling to dance at the Apollo Theater for you, to perform there?
It was beautiful, man. I mean, just all the historical moments at that theater, man. We just felt good to be able to get there and do, to be able to come there and do our thing,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So So what do you think? Do you follow the battle scene right now and all this popping scene and everything? What's happening? Do you
Yeah,
follow a little bit?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think about it? Is it like, because many poppers today, they mix also like a little bit of strutting or the Fillmore strut, you know, some basics, some, and then how do you like it, and what do you think it's better? What would be better if you don't like it, of course? Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think so what you're asking me is what do I think about the battles or
Yeah,
how they're dancing? But
yes, yes, yeah, I no, actually, like now in battles, they mix a lot of the, let's say, all California dance styles. If it's from LA, the popping style, or from Fresno, the electric boogaloo style, or the or some strutting stuff. So the mixing is creative, and I believe that because I like it too. But what do you think if we would start a new competition called only strutting, or it means like, because I'm not a fan from, but like popping the umbrella term, and then you have strutting and waving and so on, you know, all these things. What do you think about this?
I mean, it would be dope to have an all strutting competition and take us back to the talent show days. I think that would be dope. But what I also feel is
Ah,
in in anything,
yeah,
you know, you have to evolve. You know, you have to build on foundation, right? So, I mean, the dancers, you know, let me put it to you like this. I think the dancers that mix a lot of different styles, of course, is new dancers. So they're taking a little bit of what, you know, they were taught over here, what they saw over here, and they putting it together. So see, back then as strutters and stuff, we had our identity. We were strutters. That's what we
mm,
did. And in
mm.
Filmo, we were strutters. That's what we did. Right. But I think a lot of new cats coming into the game, and this is just my opinion. I think
Yeah,
a lot of the new cats that come into the game, you know, they see what they like, and then they take it and then they do what, you know,
yes,
they add
yes,
they twist to it, or you know, they take bits and pieces and stuff like that. My thing is this: have your foundation. If you're going to be a dancer, or let's say you're going to be a strutter,
yeah,
have your foundation. You know, have your foundation, and then build on the foundation so it can evolve.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so
I'm
that's
yes,
how
I
I
think
look
the
at it. And
same. I think the same.
I don't think it's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
Because dance have to evolve. I mean, it has to, or it's just going to stay the same. And then if you just stuck right there, it's going to pass you up. So you got,
yeah,
you know, you have to build, you have to innovate and create. But my thing is, if you're going to learn a style, learn the foundation of that style.
yeah.
So
Sure,
if I'm
sure.
gonna teach
Yes,
strutting, I teach that foundation. So you could take that foundation and build on it, but don't say you strutting and you're not strutting. If you have that foundation and you strutting with that foundation that you were given from your teacher or whatever it is, then you could
mm,
build on it and do other stuff. But if you strutting, you got that foundation. So it's all about foundation to build on, man. So I don't think it's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I think it's dope. But I would like to
yeah,
see an all strutting competition, you know,
yeah.
and see how that go. That would be dope, you know.
Yeah, because I see also there's not so many crews or teams anymore. They're
It's
like,
not. It's not.
it's not,
Yeah,
and
it's like back then. Back then, it was all about, like I said, it was all about being in a dope group
yeah,
because everybody shine. The group shine and the individual shine. And if you had an individual in the group that could battle, then he would go out and kill cats for you. You know what I'm saying? And then hell, you might recruit the cat that you beat if he was dope. Who knows? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But
yeah.
right. Right. So, you know, that's what it
Nice,
is, man. It was
nice.
all about it was all about being in a group, but it was a lot of dope solo cats as well, though. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people think that, you know, the Bay Area or San Francisco didn't have cats that could solo, but cats could solo, man. You had some, you know, Robert Hinton was a dope soloist. Who else? LeGrandy Newman was a good soloist. Ben James. was a great soloist.
Wow.
Troy Regan was a good soloist. I mean, you had a lot of soloists out there, man, that could kill it. You know what
For
I'm
me,
saying?
it's super.
But they were in groups. You know?
This is so dope that you talk about, you give us the real names from these guys, from these persons, and it's not the dancer names, you know, like
Mm,
this is I like this one. This is very, very interesting. So of course I think you had also solo dances, but what is the main difference between like the North California, like Bay Area, and then let's bring it more to the south, like I don't know, San Jose strutting? Because I talked with Money B, I had an interview, and he said they were more mixing everything together and they took the strut, and of course in LA it was more different culture. They had more the focus in the hit, and Taco was there and so on. So what
mm,
would you say, what is the main difference? Of course we know now it's the crew and it's the show ability. I think this is very important for strutting, but in the skill
mm.
of the pop or the hit or a roll or a shoulder, is it just, do you think, is it a feeling, or do you think it's it's something else?
You mean the difference between like Bay
Like,
Area strutting?
yeah, like I mean just the technique, not I don't mean the you know, the look or the how you come as a crew. I mean like when you hit. So is it the same hit? Is it the same feeling? Or is it a different one? You know what, how you could explain this?
Um, I would say it's different. San Francisco strutters, man, we had our own look, our own feel, our own way of moving. Whether you were, you know, a solo cat or whether you was in a group. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
put it this way: a real Filmo San Francisco cat would know a cat that was, let's say, from another city, just by what he had on and the way he looked and the way he stood. Ben James, right? Ben James was a perfect example. Dude, Ben would just stand there. He used to wear this 5X beaver. You know what I'm saying? This hat with the feather on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he would just stand there, and he looked like he was about to come out on you. That's just how, and you knew he was from the Bay. Let me just put
Okay.
it to you that way. You knew he wasn't from
Identity, it
nobody
was
else.
identity, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the
Yeah.
way we dress, with the croaker sacks on and the suspenders and the, you know, the bow ties and the white gloves and the 5X beaver hats and,
Mm.
you know, the derby hats. We'd have either the surfers on or the croaker sack shoes. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
sometimes we would have these slip-on shirts that look like tuxedos. We call them tuxedo shirts,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you came with like when you doing a real show, you came with the uniforms. Everybody got creative when it came to the uniforms.
To the
You know,
uniforms,
the
the
costumes,
show
because
content.
it was really all about the way you looked, the music that you danced to,
Yeah.
and the moves that you did.
Yeah.
That's what was going to get you over.
Yeah.
If your moves wasn't on point with the record and you didn't look as good as the next group, you might not win that competition,
Yeah.
because Close Encounters came to win all the time.
Yeah.
Live Incorporated came to win all the time. Electroids came to win all the time. These groups, you know,
Wow.
Demons of the Mind, we came later. We came to win, you know? So we was going to be on that high level of music, moves, and what we had on, period.
So, wow. So okay, let's go a little bit in a different direction. So when you started the media circus thing, did you ever travel to Europe or to other countries to show the strutting, or to show them, you
It
know,
was
like
really
workshops and stuff like this?
Yeah, it was really just word of mouth, man. I mean, and we, you know, once in France in the late '90s, that was probably it, and everything else was word of mouth, man. People just, you know, knew who we were all over the world, you know.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I believe when you have the chance to, I okay, is only now 18 people watching, but I think they can contact you, and then you can tell them how to learn stuff and get paid from this, right? To give some online workshops, or you know that
Of
this
course.
words and this dance, it's becoming a little bit more outside, you know. And I
Right.
talked to Bryce from the Playboys. I had invited here to my city. He was judging, and he
Mm-hmm.
knows also, he's like a collector of history. And yeah, I see so much potential and so much future actually in this movement, because we need crews, we need creativity, we need uniforms, you know, we need this thing so people can get not only battle one-on-one. And you know, I think it's gonna be very dope if it's gonna be grow, you know, and
Yeah.
overseas, of course, too. This
Right.
is,
And so
yeah,
we planned on coming, you know, out that way this year. We had plans come to, but this whole coronavirus thing happened and we weren't able to. But, you know, once this thing is over, we'll be out that way.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, Fayzo, you have to, because you're gonna be a mass inspiration for the world. And I think I believe when I see you live, guys, then it's over. Then it's over, because these routines are too crazy. Um, yeah, and so in the 90s, you keep doing shows. What are you doing? You know, is it only living
So,
by dancing, right? How
well,
is it?
yeah, dance, man, we just continue to, you know, perfect our craft and, you know, just keep on, you know, pushing on, man, even now. So, yeah, during the 90s, man, we just kept performing and you know, trying to elevate the dance and, you know, trying to get it all over the world, and just so, you know, people can understand what we did in, you know, the Bay Area and, you know, specifically San Francisco, where I'm from, you know, just to get the word out there and to let people know what we do, what we did, and what we still doing, you know.
Yeah, it's super important. I think it's super important. And so so can you tell me why, what's the difference, but not in movement, only by talking, like what's the difference between like San Francisco and Fillmore strutting, you know? Or is
Well, see,
Fillmore so
San Francisco is a city. The
yes,
Fillmore is a district
in
inside
San
of the city.
Francisco?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So San
So
Francisco, and then it's the Fillmore district, which is also called the Western Addition.
yes, this
So
is what you
yeah,
said, yeah. So
yeah,
and more, they danced more strutting in Fillmore, right? And no
yes.
different district, right?
You know, from my understanding, man, it was, you know, it was some groups out of the Mission District, and it was some groups out of Lakeview. It was other groups, you know, in the San Francisco area. I was born and raised in Fillmore. So
Mm.
Fillmore is, you know, where I'm from. So all the groups that I named pretty much was from Fillmore area. And that was maybe like a, what, 20, 30 block radius, you know, of all this
Wow,
talent, man, in
wow.
that one area.
So
You know?
all of you and you are doing the Fillmore strut. This is the Fillmore strut.
Let me explain something to you, because a lot of people get it
Yeah,
confused. So
yeah, exactly, please.
strutting was something that we did in routines, right?
Yeah.
And it was also a solo form of strutting, which is called the Fillmore strut. That dance was
Okay.
innovated. You see what I'm saying? And that particular dance, the Fillmore strut or the Fillmore dance style, it was innovated by Ben James from Live Incorporated. That's a
Mm.
dance that he brought to, you know, the Fillmore district, and we just started calling it the Fillmore because he
Okay.
would be moving his hands like he'd be moving his hands like he directing traffic, right? And so
Okay. Yeah.
and we should start calling it the Fillmore. That's what it was. And so it's two separate dances, but you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm strutting," but Strutting was something we did in routines, and then the solo form of strutting was the Fillmore strut.
Fayzo, one thing, when the interview finish, please post it on your account, because then I can record it, and then I have it also. So
Okay.
yeah, please, because it's only 24 hours inside your account. So you know, like on your page, just not to forget, because after 1 hour, Instagram is gonna cut it, and we're gonna start again one, right? That's why I said it right now. So so you have the Fillmore strut, then you have like San Francisco, the routines from Fillmore, and the Fillmore strut is actually the solo one. Okay, wow.
Yes.
And
yes.
So in the solo, because I saw some footage that I think it's Boogaloo Dan and Boogaloo Dana, and some other old OGs, that they show some rolls, they show some Sinbad moving animation stuff. They show the robot. So these are also elements from the Fillmore strut, or from strutting the
here's
routine,
the thing.
right?
Yeah, let me explain this to you. See, Dana is from Oakland area, Berkeley area, and he has ties in Richmond. So his style is a little bit different. Like Media Circus, you know, strutting is our foundation. But, you know, I'm from Fillmore. I started the group, right? I started Media Circus. So I'm from Fillmore. And when we first started, it was myself, Boogaloo Dana, and Cleo, a.k.a. Justice Supreme. Cleo was from Fillmore, too. So we started Media Circus together. And so being that we came out of Demons of the Mind, which was a Fillmore group. So, you know, I started. So the foundation of Media Circus is strutting, you know, San Francisco Fillmore strutting. But with Dana being from Oakland, Richmond, Berkeley, he brought another style to the group. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so, like nowadays with my crew, you know, it's me from San Francisco Fillmore. You have Dana that was in Demons with me. You have Cato, who's from Richmond, but he was also in a group called Housing Authority as well. So he has a different element of dance too, but the foundation is straight strutting. But you have people from different, you know, cities that's in the group now, and then Zulu Gremlin. You know, Zulu Gremlin's from LA. I mean, you know, he lived in LA, he lived in New York, he lived in San Francisco, and I think Miami. So it's a lot of different elements in the group right now. But the foundation is strutting. Yeah.
So what about, because this is a nice question, what about Gentlemen of Production? Because this
see, Gentlemen of Production was from Oakland. Now this is crazy. This is crazy.
Okay, this is different area. This is different.
Okay, Gentlemen of Production and Demons, we was always going head to head. Now, we was boys though, right? We were boys. But when it was time for showtime, what's up, y'all? What's up? We shake each other's hand. Yeah. Boom. And we go our separate ways till after the show. Then we'd be cool. We'd be like, what's up, man? But it was strictly business. They knew that they had to bring their A game, and we knew we had to bring our A game. It was no in between. And that's how we were. The Gentlemen of Production, we talking about San Francisco groups right now, but yeah, Gentlemen of Production was an Oakland group, and we was always in battles with them. But, you know, we boys. We've been boys since then, and we still boys now, you know?
Wow. Yeah, perfect. This is nice. So, okay, this is Oakland. This is different. This is a different discussion. Yeah. Because Bryce told me about Oakland, and I think it's Kearney. Old school guy. Kearney. Yeah. And he's from Oakland, right? And this is So
Kearney he's from the Black Messengers.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So after
so yeah, man, you know what? It's a trip because
I'm super flash, bro. It's super flashy. Yeah, it's super a lot of information.
It is, man, and it's a lot to try to put into an hour because I'm missing some things. It's like we're talking, and I'm missing some things to talk about. But you know, let me just put it to you this way, man. It's just this whole art form of strutting, man, I never thought that from 72 up to now I would still be doing it on a level that, you know, we're doing it on and so forth. But I just, you know, I just feel blessed to have been a part of that era, man, and to be able to continue doing it today, you know, and spreading the knowledge and the dance, the art form and everything to the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
So
have to.
it's a beautiful. So, Robo, you here? What's up, Beto?
What's up?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So just to break it down a little bit for strutting, so you see the inspiration also for strutting and the routines in strutting is, of course, it's the music, it's the costumes to be creative, but before strutting there was stepping. Just to break it down a little bit, it was stepping, and because of stepping, and of course, so like soldiers, right? Soldiers are also a main thing, right?
Right.
Soldier.
Look.
Is
I
there
mean,
anything
very
else?
synchronized.
Yeah.
Very synchronized, almost like, you know, and see with strutting, man, it's not just doing the movement. It's not just doing the moves. You know what I'm saying? It's hold on. It's not just doing the moves. It's all about that energy that you put into your strutting. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, you know, I can show you how to do a move, and if you just do the move, it just look like a move, right?
Yeah.
But if I show you a move, boom, bow, boom, bow. Okay, it's kind of a move. You doing it. If I go bow, bow, boom, 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 wah, boom, wah, boom. It's that feel to it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, that's why people have to learn. Of course, it's not only by watching and mimic it. Yeah, it's totally right.
You have to, you have to learn from someone that's going to, that was there and that knows the feel of what strutting is. It's not just doing moves. It's a whole feel. It's about precision. So it's not just doing the moves. You have to be precise in your movement. Like one person's hand can't be like this when everybody's hand is supposed to be like this. One arm can't be like this when all your arms are supposed to be like this. You see what I'm saying? Or if we looking like this and somebody kind of looking like this, well, everybody is supposed to be looking like that, chin over shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How long did you, like, from the for the routine of '98 and the B-Boy Summit? How long does it take to learn this routine for you guys? Because it's repetition, right? It's a very hard work.
It takes a lot of practice, but what you have to understand, we've been doing it a long time. So
okay, that's true.
We've been doing it a long time. Everybody that was in the group had been doing it for a long time. So it wasn't nothing for us to come up with the moves. Basically what it was is that, okay, we got the moves. Now we got to perfect the moves and make it look like it's supposed to look. Pretty much.
Okay,
you know?
Interesting. So, but what do you think? Because I remember me and the B-Boy crew when we did a show, right? It was really long time, but to perfect it, right, is like you have a certain system how with your crew. I don't mean like somebody new. With your crew, a certain system how to go inside the movement really fast, or it's just repetition all the time. You know, when you have something new, a new choreography, a new stepping styles, new struts. So
as far as the music is concerned, man, it's like
yeah, true.
Close Encounters. What they did is they like I told you, they sped up the music to 45, from 33 speed to 45. So they could do more moves in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
Same thing with us. We could do more moves in a shorter period of time. And here's the thing, what you have to understand is, time, like I told you before, time changes, music changes,
Music change. Yes.
eras change, right? So dancing off of 33, it was cool back then. Real neat and real cool. But as time goes on, people's tension spans get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So now, if we was up there for 4 minutes, boom, 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 you know, they get tired of that. So we're able to move faster, and it's like, whoa, whoa. So if you look to say something to your friend, you might miss a whole segment of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You looking at them like this, and they go, oh, you'd be like, oh, what happened? Oh, man, you should have seen it.
Yes, yes,
you know?
I got you, yes.
Yeah, so it was really about doing more moves in a shorter period of time, because people's tension span is shorter, and people's tension span is even shorter now than it was back then. You know? So things that we got away with back then, some of the things we can't get away with now, when we have to kind of change with the times, but it's all about evolving, man. You know?
Fayzo, I have one question, because I see Art of Popping. It's a site from Poland, and they connect with everybody. I did also a workshop inside, and it's function with donation. So do you mind if they contact you and you can speak it out, maybe to make a workshop for them, you know, like an online workshop?
Problem.
Wow,
no problem.
This would be so dope, because I think this knowledge is super dope, and we need this. And this site have also many contacts, right? Many people gonna watch this more like me, like us now. And I think it's gonna help the strutters and the strutting community and the strutter minds to grow more also for Europe, because they are from Poland, but they do a very nice, very good job for culture, right? Because they have like now No Bone Tyrone from Pomona. Then the next day they have a Pop and Pete. Then
I saw that.
And, you know,
right,
and that's
right.
I think you are very important to do this. Yeah, yeah. You
can
work
I don't
it
have
out.
a problem, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope when they can contact you, right? Oh, Rashad is
that'd be
also
dope.
inside. Nice, Rashad. Yes. Yeah.
Assassins, what's up, baby boy?
Assassins, yes. Actually, I learned he taught me. He and Future taught me some when I saw him on Art of Popping, and then we did a small routine together. Super dope.
I'll say this: those cats are like the closest. The Rashad and them, they're like the closest that I've seen to what we do and what we did back then. They're the closest. The way they move, it's the closest to that I've seen. Like, you know that they learned it from somebody that was there. Because a lot of cats I see strutting, it's like they just doing the moves, and it's like, okay, that's cool. But when the assassins do their thing, you know how I'm talking about the feeling, the feel of it, the movement of it, the energy, the preciseness.
Yeah.
Those cats are the closest that I've seen outside the Bay Area that can do it closest to what we did. So Assassins, you know, Rashad, all y'all, man, you know, hats off to y'all, man. You keep doing y'all thing.
Super dope. So I think, Fayzo, so many questions and so many things we talked about your career.
Yeah, and I still haven't covered everything, man. It's a lot of information, man. So you know, the people who's watching and whatnot, if I leave out something, I'll catch it on the next time, because it's kind of going with. We started off with questions, and then it kind of went other places. So, you know, and I mean, if anybody have a question, you know what I'm saying, just shoot us a question if you have a question, and we'll,
of course.
you know, I'll answer it or whatnot.
You can do something. It would be nice.
Yeah.
Because there was one question before. Yeah, there was one question, but we actually answered it. It was like, what is the main idea from strutting, right? But it's the culture, it's the music, it's it's the stepping, the soldiers, and so on, to be clean, you know,
Yeah,
to be
it's pretty much
precise.
yeah, it's pretty much made up of, you know, how can I put this, man? The preciseness of
Mm-hmm.
ROTC, you know, and it's, you know, something that we call like dominoes. You know, just you take a
Yeah,
domino and it's boom, 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 boom. So
yeah,
strutting it consists of dominoes,
yeah,
catch-on moves. Catch-on moves is moves that we do together. Like we all may do a walk together, or we all may do a
yeah,
hand movement together or something, right?
yeah,
So you know you have those elements. So you have, you know, the precision of ROTC. You have dominoes, together moves, and you know those are the main ones of strutting. And then later on, when Close Encounters came, they brought the waves.
yeah.
They was one of the first groups out of San Francisco to bring those tidal waves and stuff with the hands, with their bodies and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, strutting is and you know, you have to have that feel and that energy when you
Yeah.
strutting for it to look like it's supposed to look. You know what I'm
So this
saying?
is this is the foundation, and on top the foundation comes like all this like the wave or something, right?
Right, right.
On top. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is there, okay, this is very interesting. And so you have the feeling, you have the moves. So the terminology that you just said, I heard this for first time. Like, okay, dominoes, yeah, but um, dominoes is for first time I heard this, and of course, what'd you say? Catch up moves,
Yeah.
like
Dominoes, catch on
yeah,
moves, catch on.
catch
So
on
what a
moves.
catch on moves, what a catch on is like I'll come back and pick you up. Like I may step out, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, come back. Now you're gonna catch on. You're gonna come
yeah.
and do it with me. Boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay,
that's
okay,
called
okay,
catch-ons. Dominoes,
okay, okay,
catch-ons,
okay.
and but you have to be precise with it. That's where the ROTC
Of course.
aspect come in, the precision. You know?
Wow. Who was the dancer that changed your perspective on popping? On popping.
Hmm. The dancer that changed my perspective, it was two people.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Marshall from Black Velvet and Ben James from Live Incorporated. And that was other
Mm,
people. It was other people later on, but those two cats was like the first. The first two
mm.
was Ben James and Charles Marshall. Ben James from Live Incorporated and Charles Marshall from Black Velvet.
Yeah. So they open like a new door for you, and it
Yeah.
was yeah, 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 yeah. Wow. And this after like 10 years or 20 years, do you had also a creative thought that you were like, oh, I never thought about this or something, you know, like, because it's all evolution, right? With the music, with what you said, but you're personally like you had an experience that changed against something in the strutting or in your way of strutting, you know, like in the 90s or maybe in the end of the 80s, right?
Yeah, well, the 90s is when I started, you know, me and Dana and Cleo started Media Circus 91. Um,
Mm,
I mean, it's crazy, man, because for me to sit back and think about it, it was more so we just kind of evolved with the time because we just kept going. You know how
mm,
sometimes you just doing so much and you just doing it and you doing it and you doing it and then you look back and you be like, dang, that was 10 years ago. It's kind of like that. You
yeah,
know, you keep on performing, you keep on making up routines, you know, keep different costumes, you know, and sometimes you have different members and then different elements. And next thing you know, it's 10, 20 years and you like, whoa.
yeah,
It was more so like that than me saying, okay, what haven't I thought of? Because I'm always thinking, you
it,
know,
yeah, yeah, it makes sense because you're moving forward, of course, of course.
yeah.
And
So
how about there is another crew from Fillmore from Fillmore that are representing right now, or are you the only guys? Like, is Media Circus the only crew from that time?
Um,
Like,
I think we're not the only. I mean, it's other individuals, but I think right now Media Circus is the only crew from the Fillmore district doing what we
yeah,
do. The only full crew. Now it's other individuals that's doing stuff,
yeah,
but as far
yeah.
as a group, as far as a crew, yeah, we're the only one from that era. And
Wow.
my thing is just being consistent with it, and
Yes.
continuing the legacy that we, started, you know what I'm saying? And continuing the legacy that, the ones that came before us in the dance game in Fillmore, we're just keeping that consistency and the legacy of the art form of strutting from the San Francisco Fillmore district, you
Wow.
know,
In one way,
because
it's
when you,
beautiful. In the other way, is a little bit sad because you're the only ones that having the flame and moving forward with this flame. But it's
well,
beautiful.
I think it's, but you have other people that's doing, they're doing other things. You got some people out there that they may not be in a group, but they're out there doing, other things. Some people are promoters, some people are teaching, and some are,
Yeah.
still, in the game, coming to events and stuff like that. But I'm just speaking on an active group. We're the
Yes.
only active group
Yes.
from
This
the
is
San
what actually
Francisco
what this is what I mean. Yeah.
Fillmore area. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Incredible.
I pride myself on that, man, because we work too hard, as demons. Close Encounters work too hard. Live Incorporated work. All these other groups, they worked hard, and so did we. So we want to continue the legacy that, that whole strutting legacy from the San Francisco Fillmore district.
And
So that's
you
what we're
have to,
that's what we're doing.
you
Yeah,
have to till the flame starts all over the world. Till they
right.
understand, oh, I can get some, or maybe only one guy more, right? Two persons, already a crew.
Uh-huh.
So I believe this, that this is possible. But it will take time, but I believe it's
Right.
possible to bring this back because look, we have house music, we have minimal music, electronic music. It's so spacey sometimes,
Right.
and I think the time will come back if we promote it a little bit, if we put it in the dance studios, or so that's why you have to teach. You have now. It's a good time to teach online that people can catch to it. Of course, in the beginning they're gonna mimic you, and it's gonna be like this. But I believe if you see strutters in Russia or strutters in Germany, crews, you can.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can be proud of it. That that
Mm.
you because you as a crew, as Media Circus, as a role model crew, you can bring it further. Yeah,
Yeah. And
because
it's
I
it,
think also one problem is when you're the only crew doing this thing, people don't start it and say, yeah, but it's special, it's only one crew, but they don't know the history, how many crews there were, right?
say that last part. You went out. Say that last part.
Oh, yeah. Like people gonna say like in the beginning, like, okay, this is special. It's only one crew right now. It's Media Circus. It's their thing. But when they know the history, they're like, oh, there were more crews, and there were so many crews out of it, and they're like the
Right.
only ones who representing as a crew in strutting, right? And I
And
believe I believe
I'll
this
say we
is
the only ones from my era. We're the only
yeah,
ones from my era from my city. But you do have San Jose. They representing as well. But
yeah.
I think they're probably the only ones they're probably the only ones out there from their era that's still doing it.
Yeah,
Somebody correct
yeah,
me if I'm wrong, but I think Playboys is probably the only ones in their area in San Jose. Uh, they're probably the only crew that's still active as well
yeah.
out there.
It's true.
You know,
It's true. This
so
is true. But I mean, like there are many young cats also inside. Yeah, 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 yeah. But they're
Yeah.
rapping, they're representing totally, yeah, they're representing the strutting. Oh, there's another question. What do you think about the history of popping? Was it invented in Fresno through Boogaloo Sam, or it started in Oakland? What are your thoughts on that? Oh, interesting question. But yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, if you want to answer this, you can answer it. But if you don't, it's okay, Fayzo. You know, because
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
want to have this.
well, I'll
You know
just
what
say
I mean?
this. You know,
Yeah.
everybody understands now. Everybody is doing their research, and they are being enlightened about where this stuff came from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, people they pretty much know where it came from. And I'll say this, that at some point in the when people are doing their research, you got to you got to talk to a little bit of everybody to get the whole picture, not just one or two people. You got to really talk to other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I know that people out there understand, or even if they don't understand, they've heard that it actually came from Oakland. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that this,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'll just leave it at that. But
Yeah. No, because I
Oakland.
had an interview. I had an interview with Pete, and of course, Pete is talking about his life and his inspiration, and his inspiration was his brother. So Boogaloo Sam started it for him, and his it's
Mm,
I believe that everybody have his own view, but still we are one culture. Even me in Germany, I'm maybe a little bit far from the main culture, but I'm still a part of it. You know what I mean? So,
let me put it to you like let me just put it to you like this, and I'm gonna leave it there. Let me put it to you like this.
mhm.
When people say, well, boogalooing and or popping or whatever started in 77, or it started in 70 whatever, and
Mhm.
all I'll say is I saw it before that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I saw
Yeah.
boogalooing
Yeah.
before that. It was
Yeah.
groups around doing it before the mid 70s. We talking about 71, 72.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
had these groups out here doing it. So that should speak volumes within itself. You know,
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
the
Totally.
Messengers, you had, the Resurgence, you had all these groups out here that was doing it
Yeah.
before the mid 70s. So, I mean, do your research, and
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna really say about that. Do your
And
research, but these groups was doing
and
it in the early 70s.
I believe also, okay, if it's like this, and this is, when you do research and you find all this informations about this culture and this dance, and then you have the electric boogaloos who travel the world and bring them also and their dance styles in a position, you know.
Hmm.
I think it's okay. It's not a bad thing if you can research and see, okay, in Oakland there was boogaloo already, and 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 then later maybe come Boogaloo Sam, but he spread it in a different way, right? Because I think sometimes back in the days when I see footage, okay, it looks the same, but now it looks different, and the feel is, I think, also very different. When you see the
Hmm.
strutters do hardcore feeling, and 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 the Oakland Boogaloo is different than I see on Boogaloo Sam. He's not really, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, and when you look at dances in anything really, in its first, even cars, you look at a car in its first stages of car, they don't look like they look now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I hear people say, well, the Bay, they didn't look like this. Well, back then, that's how we looked, and it has evolved as time went on to
yeah,
start looking different. But you will see these dancers in the Bay Area. You see Oakland, Frisco. It's like we were doing this movement before the mid '70s, before
yeah,
it was supposed to be, invented or whatever. And
yeah,
we didn't know anything about them until Soul Train. And imagine Soul Train. We were already doing it out here.
yeah. So how was it for you when you saw this on Soul Train?
Um, I mean, we just looked like you know, we just saw it and thought that, oh, okay, that's cool, you know, and
Yeah,
we kind of thought they looked a little bit like us, not as far as what they had on, but
yeah,
the way they were kind of moving and stuff. And I take that back. Some of what they had on, because I know at some point they had on like these black they had on like suspenders and stuff like that. And
yeah,
we should dress similar to that out here. You know what I'm saying? But you know, all I'll say is, you know, everybody do their research on, you know,
yeah,
where
yeah,
it
yeah,
came
for
from or
sure.
whatnot, and you know, read in between the lines. You know, if Oakland, you know, and the Bear was, this movement was going on before 77, 76, 75, whatever,
Yeah,
then you have to understand, okay, well, if they were
there
doing
was
it
something
before,
before.
then
Yeah,
they're,
there was something
you know,
before. Yeah.
right,
So let's say a different topic, because now I had like in my mind. Um, so in the Bay starts also the turfing, right? It's the new
right,
generation dance, right?
right,
So
right.
so the turfers, how they, you know, when you see turfers and you see the mentality or something, is there something similar to the strutters back in the days?
You know,
Because turfing didn't came to Germany or to Europe at all, only per, you know, like per internet. But I'm a very big fan of turfing, and of course the New York flexors. They're somehow similar, but of course there are some feeling differences for sure, and musicality, the music differences. That's for
yeah,
sure.
the turfers, man, they got their own flavor, their own style, their own swag, and I love it, man. And it
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, and I like the term that they decided to use, turf dancing, because, you know, even in Fillmore, you know, it wasn't we didn't call it a turf dance, but you know, that was our turf, Fillmore District. That was where we got down. You know, that's where all the Dr. Funk parties, and we go hang out at Virgo's down there on what is it McAllister or Fulton? I think Fulton, on Fulton, I think. Virgo's. You know, we used to hang out and do our thing. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Funk parties, still Seville parties. You know, Big Bob, Boogie Basement, all this, man. It was a neighborhood type thing, but now it's called turf, and just remind me of us when we was kids doing our thing, you know. So I love
Nice,
the fact that the
nice.
turfers are, you know, doing their thing and taking it to another level and continuing it on. You know, my hats off to the turf dancers, man. Keep doing your thing,
Yeah, nice,
you know.
nice. And what you think about Europe or outside of the States with street dance or street mentality, you know, all the styles that we learned from you guys overseas. What do you see it as a part of the culture, or is it more a little bit like, okay, they try it but still they don't have it because it's a US thing, you know?
um I won't say that they don't have it, but you have to understand that, you know, we're talking about different groups. Some groups may have it, some may not. So,
Yeah,
you
this
know,
is for sure. Yes.
you can't really tell. But you know,
Yeah,
when I
this
see
is for
some of
sure.
them doing the strutting and stuff like that, but a lot of them, they don't do full strutting. They'll do a little bit of it and then they'll move on to something else. So
Yes.
it's a little bit different, you know,
Yeah.
when I see them do it. But you know,
Yeah.
I think that if you know they and see, I'm not sure are they learning it from just seeing some people kind of do it, that somebody else showed somebody else that showed somebody else. I
Yeah,
don't really
yeah.
know.
Like the
But if
fourth
they're
person, yeah.
the fourth or fifth person, and you know, sometimes
Yes.
it gets watered down or whatever. But you know, if they're learning from the cats that really was there and that know it, I think, you know, they'll be dope. I think everything will be good, and you know, they can carry, you know, the strutting style forward. You know.
Dope. Yeah. Dope. I think we talked enough, big brother.
it's, it's all good, man.
It's really, yeah, I think we have a lot of informations, and I think people can watch it later on your site, and I will download it, and I will be putting it on I will do a next week a YouTube site, and I will put all my interviews so they can see what they can reach out for history and everything, right? I think it's
Right.
very
It's all
important
good.
right now for the culture. So
Yeah,
please,
definitely,
please,
man.
please, look, Rashad, need more of this Fayzo. Yeah, perfect.
It's all good.
Yeah,
It's all good.
yeah. We need more. So,
We could be here all
um,
night talking, man, because it's a lot of things that I could still talk about, man. But time is of essence, so we
yes, I
keep it
just want
moving.
to
But
have like the people can watch in a short time, like many
right,
informations in a short time that they can first take an idea from it, and then they can
right,
contact you, make a online tutorial, you make something, you give a class or a private class so people can connect to you. I think this is the
right,
most important part, and I
right.
hope yeah, I hope it's gonna work out, because shredding is important. Yeah, it's important for
Yeah,
the street,
it,
it because is also a historical street dance too, right? So it's
right.
it's important for the street dance history, right?
Exactly. And before
Look,
we go, I just want to give a shout out to, all the dance groups, whoever I didn't mention, my bad. We've been talking about a lot of things, but, I just want to give a shout out to all of, the San Francisco strutting groups, all the Bay Area groups. Shout out to my crew, what I'm saying? Boogaloo Dana, Zulu Gremlin, Gooch, and Kato. You know what I'm saying? Let's,
wow,
keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And, I appreciate everybody tuning in.
super dope. Thank you so much, Fayzo. And please save this one too, right? Post it also, this
Yeah,
one,
for sure.
so I can
For sure.
download. I can download both. So
Okay.
Fayzo, thank you to have you, and thank you for all this information. Thank you so much to give me the opportunity to have an interview with you, and it's a very appreciating this moment. Thank you so much.
It's all good, man. Thanks for having me, man. And take care. And, we'll talk soon, man.
Yeah, we talk soon. We keep in touch, and if I have an event, maybe I invite, and I have some good money or sponsors,
Right.
maybe I invite the media circus to make a show here and make some classes or workshops, to bring you
It's all
over
good, man.
overseas. This would be
Yeah,
so
it's all
dope.
good.
So
We ready.
let's have the dream and maybe go on the mission, right?
All right. That's what's up, man. All right.
Take good
Have a good
care.
one.
Yes, stay healthy and
All right. You
safe.
too.
Yeah.
Hey, you
Okay,
too,
thank
man.
you.
All right.
Bye bye.
Later.
Later.